Good day everyone, I am teacher Nathalie and I will be your guide in sharpening your skills and enhancing your minds in order to face the challenges here in Mathematics 9. Ready your self-learning modules, your paper, and your pen with you. For today's video, in Learn Math with Teacher Nath, it is all about Module 2, consisting of 3 MELCs. Let us start with MELC 3. Our MELC 3 will focus on nature of roots of quadratic equations using discriminant. So let's define what is discriminant. So the nature of roots of quadratic equation can be determined using discriminant. In the quadratic formula, negative b plus and minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, the radicand b squared minus 4ac is called discriminant. So tandaan, ang formula for discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. The following nature of roots using discriminant. If our discriminant b squared minus 4ac is equal to 0, the roots are real, rational, and equal. For second nature, if our discriminant b squared minus 4ac is greater than 0 and a perfect square, then the roots are real, rational, and unequal. So ang kinaibahan nito sa una nating nature is kapag equal sa 0, that is equal. Pero pag greater than 0 at perfect square, ito ay unequal. Ano nga ba ang perfect square? A perfect square is a number that can be expressed as the product of two equal integers. So ang ating mga perfect square ay 1, 4, 9, 16, and so on. So kapag kinuha natin ang square root ng mga perfect square, ito ay whole number. For example, square root of 1 is equal to 1. Kapag multiply natin ng 1 itself, it will result to 1. So ganun ang definition ng perfect square. Third nature, if our discriminant b squared minus 4ac is greater than 0 at ito ay hindi perfect square, the roots are real, irrational, and unequal. So ang kinabahan nito sa dalawa, ang roots ng ating discriminant kapag ito ay greater than 0 at hindi perfect square, irrational, at unequal. So kabaliktad ito ng perfect square. Example, 8, 12, kasi kapag kinuha natin ang square root ng mga numbers na to, may decimal ang result. So these are the nature of roots by using discriminant. So gagamitin natin to in answering our examples. Here are the 4 examples of quadratic equation na alamin natin ang nature of roots using the discriminant. So first example, we have x squared minus 2x plus 1 is equal to 0. So the first step na gagawin natin is alamin natin yung value ng a, b, and c. Remember, para mahanap ang a natin, hahanapin ito sa ating quadratic term, which is x squared. So the value of a is the coefficient of our quadratic term, which is 1. Our b will be located doon sa ating linear term, which is negative 2x, then the coefficient is negative 2. And our c is our constant term, and our constant term is 1, so the value of c is positive 1. So using the formula of discriminant b squared minus 4ac, isa-substitute lang natin lahat ng value ng a, b, and c. So by plugging all these values, we will get negative 2 squared, so this is our b, minus 4, 1 is our a, and C is also 1. So, ito na yung ating equation. By simplifying this equation, we will get 4. So, negative 2 squared is 4 minus 4 times 1 times 1, that is minus 4. So, by solving this, 4 minus 4 is our discriminant will result to 0. So, pag sinabing equal siya sa 0, therefore, the roots are real, rational, and equal. Next, let's proceed to example number 2, which is 3x squared minus x minus 2 is equal to 0. So, first step, hanapin natin yung value ng ating a, b, and c. Katulad din ng first example. So, our a, the coefficient of our quadratic term, that is 3. Our linear term, coefficient ng ating b is negative 1. And constant term, which is represent to c, that is negative 2. Using again the formula b squared minus 4ac for our discriminant, plugging all the values of a, b, and c, makukuha natin ang negative 1 for b, 3 for a, and negative 2 for c. So, we have negative 1 squared minus 4 times 3 times negative 2. So, simplifying this equation, okay, it will become 1 plus 24. So, saan to nakuha tong 24? Because negative 4 times 3, that is negative 12. Negative 12 times negative 2, that is positive 24. So, solving this equation, 1 plus 24, so our D is equal to 25. So, hindi siya equal sa 0. So, ito ay papasok sa pangalawang nature, which is, since the D is greater than 0 and perfect square, so baka siya perfect square kasi pag in-square natin yung 25, that is result to 5. So therefore, the roots are real, rational, and unequal. So let's proceed to example number 3. We have x squared minus 6x plus 7 is equal to 0. So getting all the values of a, b, and c. So for a is we have positive 1, for b is negative 6, and c is positive 7. So, plugging all the values for our formula, discriminant b squared minus 4ac, we have negative 6 squared for b, minus 4, a is 1, and c is 7, so negative 4 times 1 times 7. So, solving or simplifying this equation, we have negative 6 squared is 36, then negative 4 times 1 times 7, that is negative 28. So, we have 36 minus 28. Solving this equation, we'll get positive 8. So, since our discriminant is greater than 0 but not perfect square, kasi kapag kinuha natin yung square root ng 8, that is approximate 2.8. So therefore, the roots are real, irrational, and unequal. So let's proceed. For our last example, we have x squared minus 4x plus 5 is equal to 0. So getting all the values of a, b, and c. So for our a is we have 1, for our b is negative 4, and for our c is positive 5. So substitute all the values in our discriminant b squared minus 4ac. We will get negative 4 squared minus 4 times 1 times 5. Simplifying the equation, we have 16 because negative 4 squared is 16. Then negative 4 times 1 times 5, that is negative 20. So we have 16 minus 20. So our discriminant will equal to negative 4. So as you can see, that our discriminant is less than 0. Negative number siya. So therefore, the roots are not real or imaginary. So we are done with our 4 examples in finding the nature or determining the nature of roots of our quadratic equations. So we are ready to proceed to our next MELC, which is our MELC 4, entitled The Sum and Product of Roots of Quadratic Equations. So let's start our MELC 4. Remember that the sum of roots, we have x sub 1 plus x sub 2. So this x sub 1 and x sub 2 represents the roots of the quadratic equation. So is equal to negative b all over a. And if we're going to get the product of roots, we have x sub 1 times x sub 2 is equal to c over a. So we're going to use the sum of roots formula and product of roots formula in answering our examples. So find the sum and product of the roots of the following equations. So we have 2 examples. So let's proceed to our example number 1. We have x squared plus 7x plus 10 is equal to 0. So first step, we're going to identify the value of a, b, and c. So ganon kanina yung ginawa natin. We have a is equal to 1. Our b is equal to positive 7. And our c is equal to positive 10. So solving for our sum of roots, we have negative b all over a. So substitute natin yung value ng ating b, which is positive 7. So our a is equal to 1. So ganyan lang siya. In dividing different sign, integers, kapag sila different, then the result is negative. So 7 divided by 1, that is 7. So different sign kaya negative. So we have negative 7 for the sum of roots. Next, we have the product of roots. So tandaan kanina, pag sinabing product of roots, that is c all over a. So c all over a, so the value of c is 10. Again, for a is 1. So 10 divided by 1, that is 10. So the sum of roots of our quadratic equation, example 1, that is negative 7, and the product of roots is 10. Let's proceed to example number 2. We have 2x squared minus 7x minus 4 is equal to 0. Again, finding the value of a, b, and c. So we have a is equal to 2, b is equal to negative 7, and c is equal to negative 4. For the sum of roots, we have negative b all over a. So the value of b is negative 7. So negative times negative, that is positive. So that is 7 divided by 2. So pwede na natin gamitin kahit fraction siya, kahit na hindi na siya i-simplify using a decimal. Again, for the product of root, we have c all over a. So the value of c is negative 4, and the value of a is 2. So negative 4 divided by 2, that is negative 2. Kaya siya negative kasi different sign. We have negative sa numerator, then positive naman sa ating denominator. Okay, what if given naman yung dalawang roots ng ating quadratic equation? So write a quadratic equation given the roots below. So using the sum and product of roots, pwede tayong makabuo ng isang quadratic equation kahit given lang yung dalawang roots. So let's proceed to example 1. We have 3 and negative 5. So sum of roots, syempre pag sinabing sum, addition yan. So we have to add 3 and negative 5. Dahil different signs sila, the rules in adding integers with different sign, we're going to subtract it. So we have 5 minus 3, that is 2. Then if follow natin yung sign ng larger number, which is 5, so ang sign ng 5 is negative, so the sum is negative 2. Next, in finding naman the product of roots, syempre pag sinabing product, ang ano natin dyan is multiplication. So we have to multiply 3 and negative 5. That will result to negative 15. Bakit negative? Tandaan, kapag multiplying integers, same sign, that is positive, different sign, that is negative. So this is not yet the final answer. Then in sum of roots, remember, so the coefficient of the second term is 2. So tandaan doon sa ating quadratic equation, meron siyang first, second term. So the second term, syempre yung 2 na nakuha natin, magiging kabaliktaran niya. Kung negative 2 ito, so the negation, ibig sabihin kabaliktaran or ininegate natin, that will result to positive 2. So the final answer here is 2. Sa kabilang side naman, the constant term is negative 15. So meron na tayong constant term, which is ito na yung fixed number natin. So kung gagawa tayo ng quadratic equation, that is x squared plus 2x. Ito yung ating second term. Then, minus to the constant term, which is negative 15. So this is our final answer. So this is our quadratic equation na nabuo gamit yung roots na 3 and negative 5. So let's proceed to example number 2. We have negative 3 and 1/2. So getting the sum of roots, we have negative 3 plus 1/2. So we have a math trick here in solving this. So we have to multiply the whole number and the denominator. We have negative 3 times 2, that is negative 6. Then plus 1, that is negative 5. Kasi magkaiba sila ng sign. So copy the denominator. Next, for this product of roots, we have negative 3 times 1/2. Kapag product naman, we have to multiply the whole number to the numerator. So negative 3 times 1, that is negative 3. Then copy the denominator. Ganun lang siya. So the coefficient of the second term, syempre kabaliktaran ng ating sum of roots, which is negative 5 over 2, that is positive 5 over 2. Then, the product of root or the constant of term, that is negative 3 over 2. If we're going to construct a quadratic equation using this sum and product, we will get x squared plus 5 over 2, that is our second term, x minus 3 over 2, that is our constant term, is equal to 0. Or, pwede naman natin siyang simplify. So, our over 2 here, pwede natin siyang i-multiply both sides by 2. So, makakancel lahat ito. Then, magiging 2x squared plus 5x minus 3 is equal to 0. Or, tandaan natin na itong sum of roots and product of roots, ang denominator niya nagre-represent ng letter A. So, meaning to say, pwede mo na siyang alisin at ilagay doon sa quadratic term, which is the coefficient of the quadratic term represents letter A. So we are done with our MELC 4 in sum and product of roots of quadratic equation. Let's proceed to the last MELC of our module 2, and that is MELC 5, solves equations transformable to quadratic equations. Remember, pag sinabing transformable, ibig sabihin hindi siya nakaayos into its standard form. So we have here some examples to transform each of the following equations to the quadratic equation in the form or the standard form ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. And we're going to solve for the roots of these two equations. So let's start with the example number 1. We have x times to the quantity x plus 2 is equal to 3. So first, we're going to write it on a standard form before we're going to solve for the roots of the equation. So in writing this, we're going to distribute the x to the first and second term sa loob ng quantity. So we have x times x, that is x squared. Then x times 2, that is 2x. Then copy is equal to 3. Then, para masulat natin siya in standard form, we're going to transpose 3 sa ating left side ng equation, and that is result to x squared plus 2x. Naging negative 3 na siya kasi nag-transpose. Then, i-equate natin siya sa 0. Then, after that, we're going to factor the quadratic equation. So, para sa mas madali, we're going to use the factoring method. So, copy the whole equation. So, mag-isip tayo ng number na kapag pinag-multiply natin, lalabas ang negative 3. Then, if we're going to get the sum of the two numbers, lalabas naman si positive 2. So, that is 3 and negative 1. So, let us check. Pag pinag-times natin si 3 times negative 1, that is negative 3. Pag pinag-add naman natin si 3 at saka si negative 1, that is positive 2. So, yun ang factors ng negative 3. And kapag pinag-sum, that is 3 and negative 1. Then, pinactor out natin si x squared, that is x and x. So, this is the factor of the quadratic equation. Then, we're going to separate this using the equate to 0. Then, we have x plus 3 is equal to 0. So, paghihiwalay lang natin itong dalawang equation, dalawang quantity na ito. Then, sa kabila naman, we have x minus 1 is equal to 0. So, to solve the value of x, we're going to transpose 3 sa left side ng equation. And magiging x is equal to negative 3. So, kabaliktaran ng positive 3. Sa kabilang side naman, we have x minus 1 is equal to 0. Then, transpose sa kabilang side si negative 1. So, x will be equal to positive 1. So, the roots of our equation, our quadratic equation, is x is equal to negative 3 and x is equal to 1. So, let's proceed to second example. We have the quantity or square of x plus 6 is equal to 25. So, pansin nyo na meron tayong square of binomial. So, para masulat ito sa standard form, we're going to use the square of a binomial. So, kapag sinabing square of binomial, ang pinakamadaling way dito is we're going to get the square of the first term, then add it to the twice of the first and second term, and add it ulit sa square of the last term. So, gagamitin natin itong note dito in writing the standard form itong ating left side ng ating equation. So, we have x squared. So, ito yung ating first term. I-square natin. Then, another plus 2ab. So, our first and second term dito is x and 6. We have plus 2 times x times 6. Then, our square of our last term, which is b, dito naman sa original equation, that is 6. So, that is plus 6 squared. Then, copy natin yung is equal to 25. Then, simplify lang natin ito. We have x squared plus 2 times 6, that is 12. Then, times x, that is 12x. Plus 6 squared, that is 36. Then, copy equal to 27. So, hindi pa ito ang standard form kasi hindi pa siya nakaka-equate sa 0. So, by transposing 25 to the left side of the equation, so positive, it will become negative 25. Then, solve this. Then, combine like terms, which is 36 minus 25. That is x squared plus 12x plus 11 is equal to 0. So, nakuha na natin yung standard form ng ating equation. We're going to factor this quadratic equation. Okay. So, mag-isip tayo ng number dalawang number na kapag pinag-multiply lalabas sa 11, and kapag pinag-add, that is mag-result to 12. That is 11 and 1. So let's check. 11 times 1, that is 11. 11 plus 1, that is 12. So this is the factor form of this quadratic equation. So paghiwalayin natin ito, we have x plus 11 is equal to 0, at sa kabila naman we have x plus 1 is equal to 0. In solving this x value, we have to transpose 11 sa left side, sa right side ng ating equation. We have x is equal to negative 11, so magbabago yung sign. We have to transpose another, we have positive 1 sa kabila, we have negative 1. So the value of the roots of this quadratic equation is negative 11 and negative 1. So tapos na tayo in transforming and solve natin yung roots ng dalawang quadratic equation. So for our example 1, nakakuha tayo ng dalawang roots which is negative 3 and 1. And for our example 2, we have negative 11 and negative 1. Okay, so we are done with our 3 melts. We have melt 3, 4, and 5. So any questions? So kung meron kayong clarification or questions, ay pwede kayong mag-PM sa akin using your mobile phone. I-chat nyo lang ako or i-text. So kung may mga hindi pa kayo masyadong naintindihan, you can PM me directly. So I hope that itong iiwan kong word for you is baunin ninyo that success is the sum of small efforts repeated. So kahit na paulit-ulit kayo na sumasagot ng inyong mga modules, ay balang araw, it will result to a better life na makakamit nyo balang araw. Okay, so thank you. That's all for today. Goodbye.